Start recording here. And then check, one more check. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Okay. Thus begins the OU Real Estate Group Prospective Investor Conference for August 14th. This will probably only take like 15 minutes. I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time. We're just going to go over where this project is thus far. So the real estate market in Havasu has not cooled off at all. I went out and I saw quite a few properties, and within hours of me seeing them, there would be offers on houses. It almost kind of feels like a bubble to me right now, with the economic effects of the coronavirus, and the CARES Act still granting a lot of these people who have multiple homes. Havasu, I think, based on the research I did on the prospectus, something like 10% of the homes in Havasu are second homes. So once those forbearances end, I think there's going to be significant capitulation in that market. So I think in this case, patience is going to pay. And even if we don't see major capitulation in the market, all it's really gonna cost us to wait a couple months is we're just gonna miss out on that appreciation. And I mean, the market's been appreciating for almost 20 years now. So there's no reason to think the moment we invest in something, the appreciation is going to stop. So we did secure a lender. I think our best offer right now is 6%, and we have to put 70% of the value of the asset, or they'll cover 70% of the value of the asset. We have to put 30% down, which is pretty good for an LLC that doesn't currently hold any assets. And the hope is that we can get better lending deals in the future once we can establish a proven revenue stream. All right, let's go over some of the data I've been looking at. So, these little gray areas, if you can see on this graph, are previous recessions. You can see the 2008 recession. This is the median sale price of homes in the United States. During the 2008 recession here, there was pretty significant capitulation, almost 20%. During previous recessions, though, the housing market has not seen huge drops in median sale prices in the US. Usually it's about 5 to 10%. And what we're looking at here from the peak in 2017 to now, we're looking at about a 5% drop in median home sale prices. Since we're just at the beginning of this recession, you can see just based on this graph, I mean, if the recession turned around right now, it would be the shortest recession in American history, which I think is unlikely to happen. It's more than likely right now the market is just being propped up by the Federal Reserve, and that Trump is doing everything possible with executive orders to prop up the economy until post-November. Obviously, it's not going to bode well for his reelection if the economy takes. Yeah. So when earnings are, I'll just set it in OU real estate. There's a good chance that once Biden's real, or if Biden is elected, everything's going to tank. I mean, there's a good chance even if Trump is reelected, everything's going to tank. They just cannot keep up this continuous level of stimulus and quantitative easing. But moving on, even the monthly housing supply, if we go to previous recessions, you can see there were obvious spikes in the monthly housing supply every previous recession. This is the only one so far where we're seeing an actual drop in the housing supply. So if you're looking at this like a trader, like we do with technical analysis every day when we look at the stock market, we just don't have a good entry here yet. Another bit of interesting news, COVID actually resulted in the first decline of household debt since 2014. So this recession has been a little bit different than past recessions, although there is a tendency to, when you really want to make a trade or get into an investment, to think like things are different this time. So don't make the mistake of thinking they're that much different. But for right now, uh, household debt is declining, and the amount of people delinquent on their mortgages is declining. Now, right now, nothing's open, so people can't spend their money anywhere. They're obviously collecting unemployment, and the banks are granting a lot of forbearances, and those forbearances are probably going to end within the next 2 months. So we're definitely not going to make an offer on anything within 2 months, which might be disappointing to some of you, but I think just as a responsible, you know, to responsibly manage this company, we just can't justify buying a property until these forbearances end. Just an example of some properties we have been looking at. This is one on Kiowa Avenue in Lake Havasu that we thought was really great, but right now the price is just too high. I mean, looking at the previous sale price, a couple of years ago, just in 2018, this sold for like 460,000. Now it's got an offer on it for 500,000. So that's just how quickly properties are appreciating out here. And we found that the properties with these RV garages and small pools, you really don't want a big pool for Airbnb because it just means more maintenance, and the depth of the pool does not add to the rental value at all. It's just the fact it has a pool. So this was a really good candidate. The family that owned this property actually lived in Canada, and they're just looking to dump it as fast as possible because they can't even travel here anymore. But let's hope that offer on this falls through. I wanted to show you guys a picture of the pool real quick. It's a really cool little cocktail pool. Yeah, this pool is only about maybe 3 feet deep or something like that. It's got a little bar out here. But yeah, okay, what else can we get into here? So another option we have is to pivot and see if we can pick up multifamily housing. The advantage to that is it generates consistent revenue even in recessions. The value of multifamily housing in 2008 declined by 37%, but those, like the actual rent in 2008 didn't decline at all. So people were paying the same amount in rent, although the value of the home had declined. So that's an option for us. That's a more recession-proof investment for the company. The other advantage to that is that we can prove revenue to our next lender. I mean, the whole idea of this company is to pick up a property and use the revenue we make on that property to leverage the company as much as possible so that we can generate as much equity as possible within the next 10 years. On the prospectus, I just gave conservative projections for what it'd look like if we just had one property, but that's obviously not the goal of the company. We want to pick up as many properties as possible with as little initial capital investment from the members as possible. And I think that's about all I have for you guys. I told you it'd be a short one. So let's open it up for questions. Do you guys have any questions? If you don't want to turn your mic on, I'm looking at the OU Real Estate Group text chat too, so you can just post them in there. Okay, so Earnings Earl is asking if I have looked into campgrounds or trailer parks. I have not yet. I do want to pivot here and do a separate prospectus on multi-unit homes, and maybe I can include that in trailer parks and stuff like that. But the truth is, how much do we really want to manage a trailer park? Part of the sale of this project to the investment group to begin with was that this would be a vacation home that potentially all the members could use at some point during the year if they really wanted. So it's kind of like an income generating vacation home for you guys. I mean, that's the appeal to me too. I think that'd be great. And the hope is that we can expand this company to different areas too, but that's way down the line. Any other questions? Zero questions? All right. This is an easy group then. We can close down the whole comp.
Wait.
What?
Can I ask questions? Sorry.
Yeah,
I was getting my headphones.
absolutely.
So, I just want to summarize some things so I'm clear. Basically, right now you're looking to wait because prices are inflated and it's been going up essentially, and putting money now would be not good, right?
Yeah, it just doesn't look like a good entry. If you were looking at property in Havasu like a stock, looming coronavirus crisis, economic downturn, all
Right.
this is, we're looking at all this post November. Right now, we know the economy is being propped up just for the sake of Trump's reelection. I don't care what your political affiliation is, but if we're looking to dump, $500,000 into SPY and we have to keep it there for 10 years, what would be our strategy? We would obviously wait till after the election to see what happens. So we're just looking at
Okay.
acquiring property the same way.
Second question.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to like, hold on, let me formulate it. Why opposite?
Why Havasu? It's close to me, so it'd be easy for me to manage primarily. In addition, it's just very good, kind of like moderately priced homes that have been appreciating year over year. So, you know, why Havasu? Why not Havasu? Like I said in the prospectus, the properties out there have
Oh,
been appreciating 7% year over year. I can go there and take care of the property anytime anything's wrong. Um, but there are other places that I think I'm going to look at. I want to look at the multifamily homes, but I want to look at that specifically in Las Vegas.
I was thinking like essentially look for foreclosed homes and auctions
Mm-hmm.
and then try to flip it from a small, like a really, really small cost, maybe 20K, 50K,
Mm-hmm.
and flip it to like 100K by selling auctions. If we're going to go on like the thought process of lowering the cost, initial cost for the members, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Part of the sale for the idea originally was that all the members could potentially use this property like once or twice a year. Um, with us not really having a good entry into the vacation property rental business, we may look at other potential investments, and that's one of them. We could look at flipping homes
So
quickly,
the
but
reason I bring it up for closure
mm-hmm.
is because like if we're gonna be seeing a lot of defaults, especially from the mid to low income segment of society,
Yeah,
we're gonna see a lot of these banks trying as I guess fire sale these foreclosed homes out, right?
yeah,
Um, we get the benefit of the desperation, and
mm-hmm.
they need money now, whereas we have cash on hand that we can spend. So that gives us negotiation leverage.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
the reason why I asked Havasu is because I don't know where some of these foreclosures might be,
Um,
but it's definitely cheaper to buy. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
oh yeah, it's definitely cheaper to buy a house in foreclosure, which is, like I said, why I think it's best to wait for these forbearances to end, because there's a real probability that these people who have the my impression is of the town that these people are paying exuberant prices for these homes, and they hardly have the income to pay the mortgage in the first place. So when Havasu gets hit, it's going to hit hard. The only reason most of these people are staying afloat is because the appreciation on the homes is so freaking high right now.
And that's going to end. So, yeah. All right, I'm out of questions. I think Hart has a question about tax. We
Yeah,
can go on with it.
what are the tax implications for investors? Is it just like buying a stock? So essentially, when we convert to an S corp, yes, it will be like buying a stock and collecting a dividend. So when we pay out to the members, aka investors, you'll really just be looking at capital gains tax. Would getting something short term in a trailer park or a campground, as Earl suggested, to help better lending rates quick enough to matter? Yeah, it could potentially. Um, you know, answering those questions off the top of my head is really difficult because I just haven't done the research. I mean, for those of you who looked at the prospectus, I went 25 pages deep into what it would look like to get a property in Havasu, our conditions for liquidation, our conditions for acquisition. So, just asking me a question about what it would look like to get a property in a trailer park, I just don't know till I do the research. I am not extraordinarily experienced in real estate. I've ran businesses in the past, and I'm obviously a very active speculative investor, so I don't have zero experience in this kind of thing, but I do not have a lot of experience in
Point,
real estate.
a parallel point.
What's up?
I have a parallel point. Like, this is what I think.
Mm-hmm.
25 pages of prospectus. I'm going to be straight up. If I'm putting $5,000, $10,000 or something significant but not too significant to it, I won't read it. Like 80 to 90% of my judgment comes from me knowing you or whatever I research.
That's true.
So
But the length of the
here's
prospectus you write does say a lot about you.
it does, right? It
Yeah.
shows like you care.
Yeah.
But then the paradox of that is when there's so much information to process and filter in, right? It kind of makes it hard. And like I guess you can see here, it's hard to ask specific questions because there's actually so much. And not only that, I feel like the individual pieces, you can't really put them together to see how that'll affect the overall picture.
Yeah.
Right? You structured it, it's like right now it's too early. We're not gonna buy it, we're gonna wait.
Yeah.
And the area we're looking at is Havasu. And that's the entire gist of what I got.
Yeah.
Everything you said. So under that sense, like, and you also talk about how does tax implications work? How does investors work? And then I'm sure people are gonna have a sense of it's like, oh dude, who owns it? Who has what share? What happens? Like all of these legalese stuff, right? That people don't understand and
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily comfortable with.
That's fine.
So
Well,
like
we can go over that briefly. That's a good point.
I'm saying that should not be necessary. None of that should be necessary. It should be like a one-page agreement filter saying, hey, we're looking to buy this around this price at this area. Ownership should be like this, done like this, right? And then afterwards, if we want to stay in Havasu, like that's why I started bringing up other formats, but that's individual choice and individual research that we can contribute into. But we know the bottom line is this is how the ownership is going to work. This is how much money we're looking to invest, and this is where you're looking to get.
Yeah.
Right? All of the other stuff is secondary and could be added upon that, right? Once we know how much we're earning, we can figure out tax. Once we know how much we own something and how that works out, we don't have a fear or anxiety of something potentially happening that we don't know about. Stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And then that comes back to the money aspect. If you're looking for, something between the lines of $2,000 to $5,000,
Yeah.
I don't want to get a lawyer. I don't want to fucking get a lawyer. That's
No, absolutely not.
So if that's the case, logically speaking, then my weight of this project goes entirely beyond what that research is because I don't know shit about this. The weight focuses on you. Cast me out. Do I trust you in terms of you setting it up? At least that's for me. I know what everyone else is thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, this is Stove. I will say I do appreciate actually the 25 pages that I've read. Maybe it was a little overkill, but I do appreciate the research, and it does get me a lot more comfortable with just investing in cats because I felt like that amount of work that he put in I can respect that, and I can understand what he's doing, and I can follow it. So it's something that I can appreciate, and that actually makes me more comfortable in investing in this.
Yeah, and I mean,
yeah, like Kat said earlier, it does add a ton of credibility to what you're doing. I definitely appreciate. I read all of it. I appreciate you doing it.
And the other thing about having a prospectus around, even if it's a little bit longer than people like, is it's supposed to be like a manual to how this company is going to operate. The important parts for you guys, right, are going to be the ownership amount, the conditions for liquidation, and the conditions for acquisition. That's all we're talking about. And like this is all the conditions for acquisition part of the prospectus we're talking about right now. We're just not meeting it. And I want this real estate group to move forward, and no matter what, even if it's not in Havasu. So the thing is, based on the prospectus I wrote, we are just not, we cannot move forward in Havasu right now. I cannot, in good faith, take your money and guarantee that next year you're going to have the same or more equity from a property in Havasu that you would have if you gave me that money today. Like you guys all saw the graphs. In recessions, housing supply has almost always increased. The median sale price of homes hasn't declined that much in most of the recessions, usually about 5 to 10% in the past, but we are at the very beginning of this recession. So it feels irresponsible to acquire property right now. But I will pivot, and I'm going to do a separate prospectus on multifamily homes. And then I'm also going to look into this trailer park thing some of you guys are suggesting and see if we can get a real estate company moving where we can prove that we're generating revenue. We can get more favorable rates from lenders when we're ready to pick up these vacation properties. And as far as vacation properties go, I am amazingly open to ideas, and we have a framework for how we're going to look at these potential investments in the future. That was one of the great things that I kind of got out of the experience of doing the prospectus for the Havasu thing, is like, what kind of factors are we looking for in vacation properties? So in the future, maybe we can look into places like Tahoe, Havasu, obviously, places in Colorado. We're really looking at places for the amount of capital we're going to have to work with. We obviously want someplace sub $500,000 to invest in. That's really our market. But we have, one more, parking lots in business areas. Ooh, commercial real estate. That's an interesting idea. I actually looked a little bit in that too, but I don't know enough about it to speak about it yet.
Land that generates cash flow.
Absolutely.
And when none of these cars are fucking here anymore because we're going EV to God, this land is going to be bought to build buildings. As long as it generates cash flow, right?
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for buying land in Las Vegas right now.
Okay. I was more saying like I wanted to see the summaries of it, what is important, what is not. Because sometimes when I look at a giant article, like a lot of the stuff gets lost in noise, and I get like distracted. But that's just me, I guess. I look at things a little
That's all right.
suboptimally.
So I guess on top of the prospectus and like any research like that I do in the future for you guys, I can do a 1-page summary too.
I would love you for that.
All right, if that's a little bit easier to read.
If you do multi-units though, like my family, we do cabinetry and furnitures and bathrooms.
Oh
so
man.
It's Chinese product. That's basically
perfect.
better quality than anything here. Yeah, we can put that together. We have contractors too.
Chinese product, like just some absolutely worthless, kind of nice looking stuff to put in these properties is exactly what we need.
Oh no, this is like primo quality shit. That's actually cheaper than stuff you get here.
Nice. Okay, so I got a comment from Dark Knight here. Not to be a downer, but on the flip side of what everyone was saying about a 24, 25-page prospectus is if Katz or whoever it was did not put this much effort into a prospectus, no chance I'd invest in it. I definitely appreciate it still, not saying I don't, but at the same time, I wouldn't even think about it otherwise.
Marketing, it's like back and forth, like last week and that too.
Yeah.
No, that's good. The effort shows. Like, but I trust you. That's the thing. I wanted to trust you more, so you can make me understand in a simpler way. But
that's it. Absolutely. That's fine. That's what we have the conference for anyway. Is like if you didn't read the prospectus all that closely or didn't understand something in it, yeah, we can discuss it, and then we can go over where this company, this idea is at this moment. So let's open it up again. Any more questions?
Oh, I do have a question again. How much interest did we get? How much funding does it look like we're going to be able to raise?
So like I said, we have to put 30% down. And I have outside of this group about 5 people seriously interested in investing up to $10,000. So it sounds like right now we could potentially raise up to $150,000, which puts us right into that maximum of $500,000 range that we can invest into an asset. Because, like I said, all right, so if we have a $500,000 property and we have to put 30% down right up front, that's going to be somewhere around $125,000. Excuse me if my math's wrong. I'm doing that off the top of my head. And then obviously we're going to have to deal with like closing and just closing costs. What else is there? Like broker's fees. And we'd like to have like $10,000 in the reserves in case we need to make any major repairs within the first year.
Yeah, I think that's helpful. Thank you.
That's what? Okay. I'm going to assume that meant question answered. All right.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Disappointing news. I know, guys. We can't just jump in right now.
Wear glasses.
But I know. I went to the eye doctor and I got contacts today. Unbelievable, right?
You look like a hipster, like a super designed hipster. Now you just look like a normal dude.
I
Hey,
should have wore the
not
glass.
like
The
it's
glasses
not
make me
like
look smarter.
no, it makes you. Oh yeah, smarter, much smarter for sure.
Pop the lens out of your old ones and just wear the.
Oh yeah. Asians do that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I still wear the glasses most of the time. The contacts kind of bug my eyes, so I'll go back pretty soon.
Yeah.
I just forgot that that's the glasses are part of my like online branding, you know?
I like your hat, bro.
Okay, so Cord says I'm fine with not jumping in right now. I'm bleeding money on med school application fees anyway. Yeah.
One, that's so bad. Since you're him. Dude, I'm sorry, bro.
So I guess one last note is I've had a lot of people interested who want to get in for like smaller investments rather than like the $10,000 initial minimum investment I was thinking about requiring. So I kind of rethought that, and maybe I'm thinking we should just do a $1,000 minimum investment, and then obviously you'll just get a proportional amount of ownership based on that. So it's whatever you want to invest, just as long as it's a minimum of $1,000.
Set it up as an S corp though.
What was that?
Gotta set it up as an S corp if you want to do like fractional investment, or else you have to list of general partners around the LLC if that's what we want to do.
Yeah, well, it's really, I don't know. I'd like to just talk to the people separately who are investing larger amounts and see if they had a problem with that idea.
Let's do a general partner and then later on convert to S corp, so it gives us the first guys opportunities to offload some of the stuff if we don't want to hold on to it.
Oh, that's a good
So
idea.
this way you can get like 10K from each of us, and then there's small interest that wants to give them for 1,000. They can either buy in directly or give us the option to basically sell it to them directly from ours, and we take the cash.
Okay. All right, take it easy, familiar.
Peace.
All right, guys, that's really all I have for you.
Yeah, I'm out of questions too, man. Thank you for putting this together.
My pleasure. We'll probably schedule another one. We'll reconvene in probably about 3 months from now, maybe less. It depends. Like I said, I'm gonna do research into the trailer park, the multifamily home investments, see if I can find opportunities there. And if I do, I'll let you know. OU Real Estate Group is definitely moving forward one way or another, even if we don't have the timing or the property to move forward right now. What kind of return are you guys hoping for? Our talent finder has another question. So based on the math I did, our return on investment, would there be a maximum investment amount? No, I don't think so, Dark Knight. So the return on investment I did the math on was we were looking at conservatively 9%. And when I mean conservatively, like I did all low end calculations for everything. I took the minimum amount comparative properties were being rented for short term on Airbnb. I accounted for the fees and everything. And then I obviously went with the high end of utility costs. I think I said the utility cost would be $450, $500 a month, when in reality, like I know people who live out there, during the winter months, the utility cost is as low as like $250. During the summer months, it spikes to like around $300, $350. So obviously, I went with the very high end, and then I assumed about 80% occupancy on the short-term rentals, and still the return on investment was between 7 and 11%. And in the prospectus, I also noted that if return on investment dropped below 3%, we would just liquidate the property and return your principal investment plus whatever equity we collected on the home back to the investors. The real value in this company in the short term would come from the equity we build on this property, because the appreciation in Lake Havasu is so ridiculously high. Okay, I think I got all the questions. Thanks for stopping in and watching, guys. I guess I'll ask one more time. Any last questions?
I think I'm good. Thank you.
All right, absolutely. My pleasure. Take it easy, guys.